Hello, I'm starting a new video about using Linux in KDE and your home office. I like Linux because the reason I started using Linux is because I read the Windows 95 user agreement from start to finish back in the 1990s, and when I finished reading it, my answer was no. I don't agree that Microsoft owns the software on my computer. And so a few years later, I started using Linux. It took me a while to get to that. And so, I want to own my own computer. I want to own the software on it. It's mine. I can do whatever I want to with it. That's the whole point. And so I started using Linux and free and open source software. And I read the what they call the GPL, the GNU public license, and it says that nobody owns the software, which is not really what I want, but it's better than Microsoft owning it. Not that I have anything against Microsoft owning software. What I'm concerned about is I want to own the software on my computer. The best license is for the BSD license, and but because it says you can do whatever you want to. The only thing you can't do is prevent anybody else from using it, or you can't sue somebody if it doesn't work the way you want it to, or anything like that. The BSD has the best license, and I've never really tried the BSD license, so I can't say Linux is better than BSD. But the reason I've never tried it is because it's not really easy to install. I mean, you have to be able to program your computer more than I do. Linux is actually fairly easy to install. You do have to do a little programming, but not that much, and it's pretty easy to learn and do. And so I've been doing that for ever since about 2004. And at first I would install Linux, and when I booted my computer, I could either start Linux or Windows. And then I got to this point where I go, well, I don't really want, it's like having half a computer, and I didn't really like that. So I just started replacing Windows completely with Linux. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. I think it's a good idea. The advantage of having the operating system be publicly owned like that is that all the computers all have the same operating system, so they can all understand each other and communicate with each other and work, and there's not a lot of problems with that. So there is a definite advantage to having the software be publicly owned, which is pretty much what Linux is. It's the operating system is owned by the people who use it, and collectively. And that's kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of a capitalist, not so much a communist. I don't like communists anything, but in this particular case, I think that there is a good reason to have publicly owned software. And I think the best way to do it is just to use a certain model or way of doing it, and having your 9-member council leading the group, so that you're not depending on any one person ever. And that's a good idea. So the minimum number of the leadership of the company, or whatever you want to call it, is at least 9 people. And they meet and they consult on a regular basis and decide what's best for everybody and do that. And that's what I think is a good model of how to do it. I think that freedom and individual liberty is a good idea, and that people should be allowed to do whatever they want to do. And all this people telling everybody what to do and thinking everybody has to think it the way I do and all that is not right. And we got to get to back to being, I like the whole classical liberal philosophy, the group, the people, that's philosophy that evolved back in the 1700s. In the United States Revolution, the American Revolution was just one small part of that, classical liberalism and how that evolved. And that's what I like. And I like free and open source software for the same reason I like capitalism, which is free enterprise. Capitalism is the private property, and private control of the, private ownership of the means of production and private control of the means of production. In other words, free enterprise. People can own their own property and do whatever they want to with it. And that's, and then on the other hand, there's other issues like, I'll never, my favorite little story to tell about this is back in, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but back in the 90s or sometime, there was an earthquake. It was a 6.5 earthquake in LA. And 35 people died in that earthquake, in the Loma Linda, something like that earthquake. Anyway, 35 people died in that earthquake. The same year, there was another earthquake, same 6.5 earthquake in Iran, and 35,000 people died. Which, all these detailed rules that we have, like building codes and everything that we have in America, and it's like, come on, man, this used to be the free everything, freedom. And, those rules and regulations have good benefits. There's a good reason for them, and it's not a bad thing. Freedom is lawful. Lawful is, and there has to be a world, I'm kind of at this point right now where, because I like the classical liberalism, and, but I also like world government and, world unity and, globalization, economic globalization, political globalization, every kind of globalization, cultural. We don't want everybody to be the same. That's not such a great idea. But we do need to be able to talk to each other and travel around the world wherever we want to go, and safely, and stuff like that, and make the world one global civilization. That's a good idea, in my opinion. And so I'm working on that, and I'm just trying to make the world a better place. And I think the free and open source software is going to be very helpful by allowing all these billions of people to create their own free enterprise. Remember those little fine, intricate golden art, jewelry and it wasn't so much clothing, but it was kind of a cross between clothing and jewelry, made out of gold, and it's very fine, intricate workmanship kind of stuff. Well, and now I'm saying we can do the same thing, only instead of with gold jewelry, websites, and teaching, build your own channel of entertaining education. And it's got to be an art, and it's got to be really high quality. My stuff is probably not very high quality. I'm just learning this by trial and error, and I'm just putting out whatever I produce. And sometimes it's, I don't know if the quality's all that great. It's just, I'm trying to encourage as many people, I'm trying to help as many people as I can do this. A homeless drug addict can start doing this and create something valuable. It's got to be valuable, whatever it is. You got to create something valuable. One of the best ways to do it is to sell other people's products. If you can't create something to sell other people, then try selling other people's products and stuff. And and being a trader. Trading is a good skill that you can use in selling online and in person and every other way. and you can use your website, and you can talk to people offline. You can have, a bunch of activities on different social media platforms, and to attract people to your website, and you attract people to your website, and then your website directs people to your most wanted response, and that, which is, in my case, is buy my book. Holistic Home Office right now is the one book I have finally got published after all these years. And so, and that's what I'm trying to help people do. And I say you can at least get a good start with using Linux. When I got this new computer and it's got Windows on it, and I don't want to just get rid of the Windows, I eventually want to put a new hard drive in the computer so I can boot up. When I turn the computer on, I can either select whether I want it to boot up Windows or Linux, and then have build up a Linux development environment. That's what my plan is. KDE Linux development environment. Probably put KDE Neon on there, even though KDE Neon, I've never really. It's kind of, you have to. It's almost like it's more of a development project than a real, KUbuntu, you install KUbuntu and it's ready to go. It's beautiful and it's ready to go and it runs smooth. With KDE Neon, you kind of have to know what you're doing a little bit and be able to make everything work smoothly. At least that's my impression. And since I'm not I didn't go to college and learn how to be a programmer, and I really don't know much about programming, I do think that I want to start with KDE Neon and learn that system and develop software for Linux, and that's what I want to do, and teach other people how to do the same thing. And you can use anything. You can use KUbuntu. If you're new to Linux, I recommend unequivocally KUbuntu. The only other one that I know of that comes even close to being as easy to use, so you can get familiar with Linux, is KUbuntu, is Manjaro, which is an Arch Linux. It's kind of a totally different system. And those two systems, they're both out of Germany, kind of Central Europe area. They're both produced in that same region, and they're both very easy to use. They're designed to be easy to use for end users. You don't have to be a programmer to know how to use them. So I recommend starting there, and then learning and digging in and learning and drilling down and learning more, and getting, and just start creating art, and creating, you use Inkscape and Krita and GIMP, and learn how to create beautiful art. And so I'm coming up on to my 15-minute limit on these videos, and I'll let this go. And but anyway, Linux is the way to go, man. And KUbuntu is a good place to start, and try that and use it. And it's really easy, and it'll help you get started. And then if you want to, you can move on to other ones. I change my Linux at least once a year, if not twice. It comes out new every 6 months. So so far I've always replaced every 6 months. I've gotten a new distribution of Linux. Anyway, so have a great day, and peace and prosperity be with you.